Hello everyone, my name is Janet Del Coro, a graduate student at FIU's Department of Teaching and Learning, and today I'm excited to share with you the findings of my action research project titled The Impact of a Self-Monitoring Checklist on Self-Regulation Skills. To begin, let's overview the abstract of my study. I explored the effectiveness of a self-monitoring checklist in enhancing self-regulation skills among elementary students with ADHD or similar behavioral characteristics. The findings revealed notable increases in task completion rates and improved academic outcomes, highlighting the checklist's value in supporting students with self-regulation deficits, as is usually the case with students who have ADHD or similar. For my problem statement, I indicated that students diagnosed with ADHD often struggle with self-regulation, as I mentioned previously, which impacts their academic success and that of their peers. Effective interventions are crucial to address these challenges and to bridge academic gaps. The purpose of my study was to examine the impact of self-monitoring checklists on task completion and academic outcomes in second grade students with ADHD or similar behavioral characteristics. The following research questions were investigated. What are the effects of implementing a self-monitoring checklist on task completion in second grade students diagnosed with ADHD or who exhibit ADHD behavioral characteristics? Moreover, how does the use of a self-monitoring checklist affect these students' academic outcomes? In reviewing the extensive literature on the subject, I found that previous studies have shown positive effects of self-monitoring checklists on academic engagement and on-task behavior in students with ADHD. For example, in 2018, Ennis et al. Studied the impact of a self-monitoring checklist on the academic engagement of 3 fifth grade students of varied exceptionalities, which led to increased engagement and task completion. Another example of a different study was King et al. In 2014, who used the self-monitoring and video modeling intervention to increase on-task behavior during math seat work for 4 elementary students, resulting in substantial and lasting improvements. As far as the methodology goes, the study was conducted in a second grade inclusion classroom in Miami-Dade County Public Schools. The population of students in the classroom was 26, and the participants specifically were 4 males aged 7 to 9, either diagnosed with ADHD or who demonstrated ADHD behavioral characteristics. The study, which was conducted with the principal's consent, utilized Miami-Dade County Public Schools second grade curriculum and a self-monitoring checklist template that was obtained online. The self-monitoring checklist was affixed to the students' desks to help them self-assess their on-task behavior and task completion, and they used Velcro check marks to check off the items on the list as they completed them. The triangulated data collection sources included calculating weekly task completion rates for each student, administering pre- and post-intervention surveys in which students answered questions, self-assessing their abilities to complete tasks and stay on task, and determining if academic outcomes were affected by obtaining 1 grade per week for each student in each of the 5 major subject areas. The study aimed to assess the impact of the self-monitoring checklist on task completion and academic outcomes for students with ADHD. The action research findings confirm the effectiveness of self-monitoring interventions for students with ADHD or similar behavioral characteristics, showing positive impacts on task completion rates and academic outcomes, consistent with the prior studies previously discussed.
As seen in Figure 1, the intervention had varying effects on task completion rates for all 4 participants over the 8 weeks. Student A consistently improved, reaching 94.7% task completion, possibly due to his consistent use of the checklist. Student B's rates fluctuated, peaking at 78.6%, likely hindered by impulse control difficulties. Student C steadily increased to 94.7%, benefiting from his obvious excitement at utilizing the checklist and his demonstrated excellent comprehension skills during the intervention training session. Student D, on the other hand, initially improved, increasing from 68.8% at baseline to 92.9% by week 5, but declined towards the end to 75%, possibly due to excessive absences. As seen in Figure 2, Student A showed significant academic improvement, increasing from a baseline grade of 2.2 to 3.8, benefiting from the intervention and increased parental support. Student B, starting at 0.0, improved to a 2.4 GPA, facing challenges due to impulse control issues, but benefiting overall from a combination of interventions, including more academic support after the referral to Tier 3 interventions. Student C steadily improved from 1.4 to 3.8, benefiting from above average intellect and strong parental support. Student D, starting at 1.6, improved to a 3.0 GPA, facing challenges with emotional regulation and attendance. As seen in Table 1, the post-intervention survey showed notable improvements for Student A, likely reinforced by teacher feedback during data chats. Student B's self-assessments varied, but he demonstrated an increase in self-awareness as his post-assessment results were more in line with what the researcher observed in the classroom than his pre-intervention survey results. Student C's consistent ratings suggest reinforced positive behaviors, while Student D's attitudes varied, with some declines but also an increase in task completion self-awareness.
The study is not without its limitations. The study's limitations included student absences, which may have affected progress and impacted task completion rates, thus potentially skewing results. Additionally, the need to train a co-teacher for data collection may have compromised data accuracy. Now, the implications for this study indicate that educators should tailor self-monitoring tools for the specific needs of each student to ensure success and target specific behavioral needs. In the specific example from one of my participants, I feel that we may have encountered more success if I had tailored the checklist items to his specific behaviors. Finding the template online was great. It was a great resource to have, but in the future, educators should consider customizing some of the checklist items specifically for their students. Moreover, educators should scaffold the training process to avoid overwhelming students and ensure more consistent use of the checklist. Sometimes if you have students as young as mine who've never used a checklist for self-monitoring, the entire process could be a little overwhelming. So my suggestion is to ensure that you extend that training process to ensure success. Future research should explore the sustained impacts of self-monitoring intervention on self-regulation skills. Additionally, the efficacy of utilizing a combination of interventions, such as the self-monitoring checklist in conjunction with tangible rewards for its consistent use, for example, should also be explored. In conclusion, my research highlights the importance of self-regulation interventions in supporting students with ADHD. The use of a self-monitoring checklist can substantially improve task completion rates and academic outcomes, ultimately enhancing student success in the classroom. Thank you so much for your attention. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
It was a pleasure to present for you. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at the email or phone number shown.